Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the Inside G Vegas Gridiron podcast. We are joined today by a fantastic guest, a icon of the Hampton Park Christian School Panthers, a national hero, and really the son of Columbus, Wisconsin, John Alexander Kurth. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, James and Chris. Super excited to be here. I've been waiting to be on the podcast literally for 13 weeks now, and got blue balled a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, super happy to be here now.
Well, we just knew how important this episode was and didn't want to waste some random mid-season episode on you. So we really, we planned that strategically.
No, this is the most consequential week of them all. So you were wise, John and James, with his refrigerator flooding that I was just appraised of. It was God worked in wonderful and mysterious ways to get us here at this special moment in time. Right.
Praise be.
Absolutely. Well, and especially with all you have going on with your team this week. I mean, I can't think of anybody that has more at stake here in week 14 than you. Right now, you're on the outside looking in. What's the journey been like this season?
Yeah, it's been a heck of a journey. So I thought I had a quite a good draft, and then the injury bug started biting, and it bit persistently throughout the entire season. And I traded into some risk. I traded in some risk assets. I think Chris and Luke will understand my terminology here. But I bought a bunch of short dated calls, and I think they're going to pan out. And if they do, I'm going to hit it big in the playoffs. But bought into a lot of risk assets, and they're just coming back this week. Amari and Hampton, Mike Evans. But yeah, there's been a lot of vicissitudes this season. Started off 2-0. And so James, actually in an earlier podcast, I want to correct the record. I have had weeks consecutive. I've had 2 consecutive weeks of wins. I think you mentioned earlier that I'd never had a week with, or maybe you're talking about John Egan. Were you talking about John?
It was you, but I said you've won weeks 1 and 2, but then after that,
did you
did not have, yeah.
Okay, so it brought blood to my eyes when you said that, and unnecessarily so. You're right on the mark as usual. But yeah, I mean, I've had, loss, win, and now 7-6. Yeah, it's not great, but I've set myself up well. I think I control my destiny. If I beat Pickle Boy, I'm in. Is that correct?
Not quite. You'll have to overcome a points for differential right now.
Okay.
But it's close.
In due course, yeah.
It's very close, which is why, for my team, I dropped literally half my bench. Half my offensive bench was dropped in waivers because I have to make sure if I lose, it's going to come down to points for. I have to have the most points possible.
Wait, why would you drop half of your bench?
Well, I had a bunch of defensive guys, IDPs, on bye this week, and I had to fill those spots. I don't have the luxury of pulling a Corbin and hoarding 12 bench guys. It's just for you and me. I know Chris is not really in this conversation, unfortunately.
Make-A-Wish podcast for him,
Yeah, I appreciate feeling included.
Learn from us for next year.
Yeah, please give me your tips.
But points for is going to play such an important role. I feel like this upcoming week because I do think you win. I mean, I think that trade that you made with Brad, which by the way, oh my goodness, did he offer that to you?
Yeah, I don't want to go too. No, I'll tell you. I'll be completely forthright as I always am with you. He messaged me asking if I was interested in his trade, and I said yes. And it was initially for a quarterback, and I was initially not interested in exactly what he had proposed. And then I was like, if you have anything else, because I understand that you want me to win, so if you want to make my team better, go ahead and send me something. And then we ended up going with the trade that was eventually concluded. Yeah, I think it's good for me. I hope Jaden's ready to go. Marcus Mariota, although he scored well last week, I mean, if you just watch him, I mean, goodness gracious, he makes some of the worst decisions imaginable. That little jump pick that he threw, I think it was in the first quarter.
Yeah,
not
disgusting.
Good. Not good. I know, Chris, you were watching the game.
Oh, I watched it. Yeah. Yeah. Happy we lost.
Is it? No, it's at Minnesota. I was gonna say I could probably make it to the game if it was in Washington to support the Commanders, but not going to be able to make the trek out to Minneapolis or St. Paul, whichever city the stadium's in. I'm not sure. Joke from before we started recording.
So what was, when you look back at your season and, you're sitting at 7-6, you talk about the injury bug. if you could go back in time, do you have any regrets that you made along the way?
Yeah. Major regret was playing you week 4, week 5, and didn't use the start if function. So I think I had Brock Purdy starting, and Jackson Dart I wanted to say played on Thursday. I didn't start Jackson Dart because I was going to start Purdy on Sunday. Jackson puts up 35 points or so, and then Purdy's ruled out. So I have to go into the waiver wire and pick up Cooper Rush, who scored negative points, unsurprisingly, and end up losing that game by about 35. So you add Jackson's 35, you take away Cooper Rush -4. I would have beaten you there. I'm in a much different position now. That's the biggest regret. There was one transaction that I think has not worked in my favor thus far, but I think could work out in my favor in the playoffs if I do make it. And that's the Marion Hampton, um, Devontae Adams, and Igbuka trade. So I got the two major pieces that I got: Igbuka and Amarian Hampton for Devontae Adams. And at the time, Jordan Mason, who had some value and still has some value. And again, it was trading into a risk asset. Igbuka has a higher ceiling, or so I thought, than Adams, but he's just continued to have, with a couple of outlier games, little catches, few catches, but important catches, a lot of touchdowns as well. But when I look at it now, I don't regret it as much as obviously the start if fiasco. But if you look at it like from a points for perspective, it would have been wiser not to make that trade up to this point. But again, I'm looking to make a run in the playoffs. And as I said a long time ago, I will win the division and I will win the championship. And I had to make the trade to make that happen.
Wow. Well, I mean, who could have seen Devontae Adams? I mean, the last few years he's been okay, but like I heard a stat today that he has more targets inside the 5-yard line over the course of an NFL season than anybody ever since they started tracking targets. And obviously the season's not really even close to being over. We still have a month left to play, and he already has
It's amazing.
locked up that record.
Yeah. And I traded him shortly after like his 3 or 4 reception game with 3 touchdowns. And he had 3 receptions for like 7 yards and like 30 points, right? And then Puka was coming back. I'm like, okay, I got to sell high. And so that was the rationale. I think it was smart. But yeah, he just continued to have really, really high value targets. So
yeah, he's
whatever,
getting
what are you going to do?
a lot of points from Puka, unfortunately.
Sorry, Chris.
As I know.
Well, to be fair, I don't think it would have made much of a difference in a lot of these games.
There's, say what you want. I am the lowest scorer. I will acknowledge that. But there's been very few games where I've truly gotten blown out. I've had a lot of, 1 or 2 players going off is the difference. It's 10 to 20 points. So
yeah,
you never know. But yeah.
Chris, I got to ask you, do you think that your team is better than DJ's? We'll
see this week. I mean, I just don't really have any faith in anyone right now. No one's consistently putting up points. Have some buys this week and some I just don't know. I don't know. Jordan Love can go from putting up 40 points to like 6 points, and that really hurts. Same with Justin Jefferson really hasn't done much this year, unfortunately. I don't know. Maybe I should have made that trade. And then back to Puka. Like, Puka's had a few really, really solid weeks earlier in the season. He was my guy. Scoring over 20 the first 5 weeks of the season, and hasn't put up over 20 since. And a lot of that comes down to he was out, and it was kind of just like, hey, Devontae Adams is still a pretty good receiver. Let's just target him. We'll see. I honestly don't have much confidence in my team. It's a bad spot to be in, but we'll see. Living on a prayer.
Yeah. Well, I for one, very excited for your game. I don't think it's one anyone should sleep on as the very possible hot dog bowl preview.
Yep.
Coming in incredible timing, week 14.
Yep.
But looking back on, let's take a look at this past week's results and see how we got to where we are today. So, John, as our guest, I'm going to start with you. Were there any games that stood out to you in week 13 aside from your own?
Yes, because you know I was going to go there.
Because I know that you would want to start with yourself.
Yeah, James, I would say it was actually yours against Corbin's. My word, that was an absolute beatdown. Or 9 points to 153. Maybe a harbinger of things to come in the playoffs. And by that I mean Corbin failing and falling on his face. Uh, and it is really sweet to see. I mean, your team's really coming together. Travion Henderson finally getting a lot of touch or a decent number of touches, right? And being very productive in those touches. Even with JSN not doing much at all, scoring over 200 points is spectacular. And yeah, you just upgraded that receiver again. And I think you're right to trade away, Monangai? Is that his name?
I call him Monangai, but you might be right.
Monangai. That's definitely the correct pronunciation. Yeah, that's what his parents prefer. Yeah, no, I think that was super wise. You sold high on him. I think that Philly game is an outlier. Like you're not going to have two backs, 40 plus carries, 200 plus yards, two touchdowns apiece, or one touchdown apiece. So you did well there. Like I think this was an incredible game from you, and you're set up really well. And then Corbin, um, tough. No RB2, right? He's got Tootin at RB2. I don't believe. I mean, the Jameson Williams stuff is actually really surprising me because I thought that trade was atrocious. But yeah, I mean, that was his one good transaction of the year. I feel like. And maybe the George Pickens trade was also good. But yeah, absolute beatdown. I know that he, as is his want, left a couple of defensive spots open, but that wouldn't have been even close to the difference. So congratulations on the beatdown, and happy to see Corbin's utter meltdown as well.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you. I mean, I think one of the big things that stood out to me about that game was as much as Corbin despises defense. I mean, he clearly hates his defense. I mean, season after season, he'd rather stash a rookie running back that returns kickoffs than get an IDP in his lineup. And my defense filled in that gap. You mentioned JSN had kind of a slow night, and he's someone that we really rely on to get heavy points, and we really didn't even need him because our defense showed up. I mean, 13 points from Max, 12 from Tupelodu, 8 from Schwessinger, which is one of the greatest names in football right now. 6 from Campbell, 13 from Hufanga, and 12 from Scott. I mean, just across the board, my IDP showed up, and I feel like if we can carry that momentum into next week into the playoffs, I think that is my strength, is having a top-notch wide receiver room, like you said, adding Waddle. And it was painful to lose Monangai. I'll say it was painful to lose him. I do think it's the right call. His schedule of the next 3 weeks is Green Bay, Cleveland, and Green Bay. And those teams just aren't. I mean, they're not good defenses to go up against for a running back, especially one that's in a timeshare like him. So, yeah. Do you ascribe to the theory that was presented last week that Corbin is smoke and mirrors?
Yeah, I do think so. I think he's still like a good team. He should not be on top of the girls wear pink. Is that the correct terminology? Girls wear pink or
Girls
Pink Girls
Club.
Club?
Yeah.
Girls Club.
Girls Club.
Yeah, I know he's an inaugural member of and it's been on every week. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I think his team doesn't have as high of a ceiling as you'd need to win the championship. Yeah, what is he? 10-3. Yeah, 10-3. So yeah, great job. But the weeks that matter are coming up, right? Obviously he's solidified his spot in the playoffs, but again, I don't think his ceiling is high enough to do tons of damage. I think he probably has the lowest odds in my eyes of like the top 4 teams to win a championship. But I want to circle back to you, James. Are you going to start Alec Pierce? Like, what's the deal? Why are you not starting him?
So he had a really slow game, not this past week, but the week prior against Kansas City. Ended up with almost no points. And with him going up against Houston this past week, I just felt like very good defense. With the way Daniel Jones has been playing, he's hurt. I didn't like that matchup for him. Meanwhile, Darnell Mooney going up against the Jets. There's no London to eat up that target share. I thought that was a good opportunity for him, and I was wrong. Should have played Pierce.
That's fine. But yeah, going back to Monangai playing against Green Bay, the Bears never beat Green Bay. They're going to be down early. Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur love to hold on to the ball. Josh Jacobs going to have a huge day. At least I'm hoping he's on my team. So I think we're both. You were really wise to look at the matchups late in the season. Yeah, he's going to score. No, mark it. Make a bet with me if you want to. Anybody listening to the podcast, Monangai doesn't score more than 20 points total in the 2 games against Green Bay. I'll do a $5 bet with up to 15 people on that. Okay, I don't know how much money that is. Probably more than I can afford to lose.
Total.
But I'll do it right now.
Between two weeks total.
Total.
I'll take the other side of that.
All right. That's one.
I love that. I will not take the other side of that, which is why I traded him away.
Yeah, what do I know? Clearly nothing.
I'm taking money from Chris. Love it.
Easy money.
As if Chris hasn't been through enough already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chris, what was a matchup that stood out to you this week?
The matchup that stood out to me was John, not Cox on top. John Plaxico's gonna run John. He played Ice HR department, obviously fellow division rival, kind of vying for the playoff spot from the division. And John just put the absolute belt to booty cheeks on him. 207 to 131. So very important for 2 reasons. One, I think we were talking about it last week. It's very possible that these matchups come to points 4. And so, really, really gained some momentum there over the fellow opponent of Rico. So very impressive, it's come to clutch time, and John showed up the past few weeks to really turn the season around. And not that his playoff is sealed, but it would be very, very hard to knock him out, even if he loses. Rico, let's see, he's got about 20 points on Rico, so he can secure it here.
Well, Chris, that's the thing. I mean, he doubled his point advantage over Ice with that win this past week. I mean, just an incredible job from him. And if you remember last week's podcast, we were talking about how Sleeper had him as a heavy underdog.
Yeah.
And we all felt like that was kind of strange. We didn't get why that was the case. Lamar Jackson, leading Ice, has been abysmal since he came back from injury. He's clearly playing with some level of caution. He's not running like he used to. That being said, I mean, he did have that 40-yard touchdown to Zay Flowers that got called back for OPI. Isaiah Likely fumbles the football like out of the back of the end zone. Like, those are huge moments in that game. Obviously, not enough in this case to overcome the difference for Ice HR, but I do feel like he's got a Lamar issue right now for sure.
Yeah. And then, I mean, just looking at, John's team, like, he has a explosive team that can put up points. And his kicker had Jason Myers had 20 points. Like, that's huge right there. So yeah, happy for John. But again, I think that was just such a big win, and really definitely doesn't seal his spot in the playoffs, but gives him a really, really strong chance to make it.
Yeah, without a doubt. One matchup that stood out to me, it was the only one I think that came down to Monday night, really. Actually, Chris's might have come down to Monday night, but I'm not sure that many people were paying attention, unfortunately. And that
it was over Sunday when I was up by 2 points, and he had 3 defensive players. So I sailed it in at that point.
Yeah. So the South Georgia Catfish, 99.26 versus the Bull City Bots, 196.26. All right. So, I mean, really, in that game, one sack away, Brad was from tying that one up. I feel like both these teams put in exactly the showing that we expected. We expected to be close. We expected to be high scoring. Huge credit to Bob. I cannot believe he's come in mid-season, taken over a team that was really floundering at the time, and has won every game since he's taken over. He's got a 5-game win streak now. He's got one foot in the door when it comes to the playoffs, although with a tough matchup coming up week 14, as John knows real well. But Bob has been incredible. He's made some shrewd moves that have set his team up well, and Brad's slide continues. Just stunning to see, really.
I do appreciate Brad's podcast from today, or not the podcast, the press
The presser?
conference. And he's a really reflective guy, and he's going through, these two different tacks that he's had. One really being hard on his guys, demanding them to be better, and then putting kid gloves on, coaxing Booty to do better, encouraging, just one more catch for me. And that would have done it too. Yeah, a sack, sure. And then, Booty just stayed on that stat line deep into, I think, the third quarter. He had the stat line that he finished with, and a couple of, possessions where New England was driving, but they were up big, so running the ball more. So unfortunate game script late in the game for Booty. But yeah, the Bob here, look how many points he had IDP wise. And then what, Adonai Mitchell? Goodness gracious, goes off. But his IDPs, his linebackers, his defensive backs, two of his linebackers, 11 or 10 and a half, 13 and a half, defensive backs, three of them right around 10 points. Like, I mean, goodness gracious, 50 points right there from IDPs, from 5 IDPs. I think he's going to return to the mean and not have that next week, or this week, or so I hope. But yeah, but I'm very happy this game came down to the wire and made Brad desperate, and I was a beneficiary of that, maybe more so than anybody else with the trade.
Yeah, I mean, if he made a fatal miscalculation on that one.
Let me say one more thing. Actually, the initial
miscalculation, though, just want to clarify.
No, maybe
the initial misclassification or you know what I'm saying.
Genus, species, phylum, kingdom.
There we go.
No, so Brad initially wanted to do Jackson Dart and Jameis for Mariota and Daniels. But I was like, we can't do that because you just traded me Winston last week. And if we did that, I knew the league was gonna. Yeah, so luckily spotted that. And I was very busy then. I had just gone out of class. Luckily had the wherewithal to realize that would not work. But who knows what the council would have done with that? Who knows? With as much hubbub as there was before for similar trades, who knows? But yeah, glad that didn't happen. Anyways, I just wanted to add that piece to what we were discussing earlier. That I forgot.
That's great. So, well, and after the hubbub that Brad created on Thanksgiving night, as I was getting ready to go to bed, I can assure you the council would not have given him the minimum sentence on that one. But yeah, so Brad made a fatal miscalculation there, and that miscalculation was if John were to have lost to Bob this upcoming week, Brad was in, like he was in no matter what. But he had it in his mind that Bob needed to lose for him to make it to the playoffs, which is not true at all. Bob losing certainly helps him win the division, but it does not guarantee him a playoff spot. So I think he might come to regret that one. The irony in that whole situation would be something that would live on in league history if that so happens. And Brad is, in fact, the one team that misses out because Kurth wins.
That would be something. So in that situation, if both Brad and Bob lose, Bob currently looks like he has. Well, Brad still has more points for, but if they both lose, it's going to come down to points for between the two of them.
That's right. That's right. Well, and we saw in the Libby Ice game from this past week. I mean, that was a 70-point swing.
Yeah.
So it's not out of the equation. It's not likely. It's not likely by any means that Brad loses his what really is a tremendous points advantage.
Yeah, it's about 50 points.
Yeah, but it's not something that's insurmountable by any means. And if both my dad and John win, and let's say that I lose, then we have is that 5 of us at 8-5, and it just comes down to points for. On all that, 2 people are going to get division slots, and then 2 more are going to get wild cards, and someone's going to be left out, unfortunately, which will be sickening if that happens.
That is wild.
And I will say, Brad's matchup versus my dad does not look good for him. I do not see him winning that game.
Yeah.
But I'm jumping ahead of myself. We'll get to week 14 here in just a second. John, you mentioned something though in your analysis of Bob's team. Bob did have the number 2 defense from this past week. However, he has the number 2 defense on the season. So that seems to be like he does have a high-performing defense, something to watch out for you. Now, is a top defense something that's really worth going after? It's debatable. Tank for Arch has the number 1 defense on the season. So I think I think there's a balance there somewhere, but it certainly doesn't help when you have a team like Bob's, who his offense is only ranked 10th, but his defense is second. It seems to be carrying him quite a bit there. So great for him.
And for reference, he put up 82 defensive points last week, and that number 2 defense for the season is about 66 points. So his defense definitely overreached. But, hey, points are points.
That they are.
100%. That's what we're all going after. That's why we do what we do. Why we wake up every morning.
That's right.
Get more points. John, any other matchups from week 13 that caught your eye?
Let me see. Maybe Chris and Jose. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Hey, this was one of the closest matchups, honestly.
It was, but it's like a middle school girls basketball game.
It was very much like that. Yes,
you have like 15 jump balls called because they can't dribble.
That's right. The final score was 3-1. All 3 points came from free throws.
One girl launching a 3, hits the back, hits the top of the backboard, bounces 15 feet in the air, and then somehow sinks.
It was 1-0 the entire time, and then hit a whatever.
Coach gets like 3 technical fouls.
Yep.
And then they send him to the line, and somehow they bank it in.
No, what sealed me was Bobby Wagner interception. Sealed the deal. Gave Jose the win, and then a few of his other defensive players, extended that a little bit, but it was literally like 3. I ended up with 143.96. He had like 143 I think he had 144 even, and I was like, well, there it is. And then anyway, so who cares?
Wow. Yeah, your team is absolutely terrible. Your defense almost outscored your offense. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's not good. I'm not gonna posture like big city belief and pretend like I'm good. It's rough.
Yeah. Where did it go wrong for you, Chris? Maybe you said this in the podcast before, but just try in 2 to 3 sentences to summarize what went wrong.
Injuries. I mean, there's no obviously could have made different moves. But start with Joe Burrow injury early, had to get creative. So let Debo go to get Jordan Love, which I think, I can't do anything about that. Like, don't regret that move. Traded Achane for Dobbins and Kenneth Walker. Dobbins immediately goes out, have him for not even a full game. In the middle of that, had some other injuries with Aaron Jones was out for a while. Marvin Harrison had an appendectomy. So, I think I could probably have made some slightly better moves. But
yeah,
it really was injury bug in my mind. And who knows, maybe I'm just trying to appease myself, but I think the injury bug hit me hard. And again, maybe I could have salvaged a win or two, but I don't think it really is going to affect anything.
I hear that. Yeah. The rain falls on the just and the unjust.
That's right. Why do good things happen to bad people,
Beats me.
Also, Chris, on a lighter note for you, I see your VT hoodie. You had to enjoy today's signing day.
Oh, today was excellent. Just steadily following Twitter. And, I never really had any hate towards Penn State. It was actually a team that I would occasionally find myself cheering for. And maybe it's all built up just on, on social media. But I feel like now I can hate Penn State a lot. But I also love Penn State because they're kind of just doofuses that let James Franklin go. So yeah, that was definitely a bright spot of the past few weeks. So I'm happy about that.
I love that. Have you planned out how you're going to devour your hot dogs?
I've been thinking about that honestly since week 1. I think honestly since we even talked about the punishment. So I have a few ideas. We'll have to see. I have a pretty creative one. We'll see. We'll see if I can make it work.
Well, I'm excited. Should that happen?
At this point, I honestly don't want any more wins. Eating 72 hot dogs in 4 days is a little too easy. So I kind of want the challenge of 3 days.
I love that.
Yeah. So might just rest my whole team this week.
Okay. I mean, that integrity move.
Not? Yeah, why not?
I almost sat Jackson Dart because he was playing Monday night, and I already had a huge lead. I had already won the game. And I thought it'd be funny just to put in the chat, I'm just sitting Jackson Dart. And I was like, well, points 4 might come into play. So let me not do that.
That'd be funny.
Chris, any other matchups from Week 13 for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of talked about all the big ones. I don't think we talked about Luke versus Ricky.
Mm-mm.
You know, Ricky gets the win there. Again, don't really know if it moves the needle too much. I mean, you know, that whole division is kind of in the playoffs, except possibly you. But yeah, Ricky's definitely surging, strong team. I think it just continues to prove it over and over again. So yeah, good for him.
Well, that's the great thing about that matchup right there is with Corbin and Luke both losing, who were number 1 and 2 in the South. Ricky, Luke, or Corbin, all three of them are in play for the division title. Pretty much whoever wins our division ends up being top seed in the playoffs as well.
Yeah,
so
gotcha.
there's a lot at stake in Week 14. Obviously nice for them that they're the only 3 teams that have completely clinched a spot in the playoffs. Sorry, Brad. But, there is still something to play for them in Week 14. So, yeah, I think that's really all that needs to be said about that matchup because there were bigger ones at stake for sure, including our very own Cox on top versus Dolphin Death. That was one that I didn't see that one coming. I thought Dolphin Death had a good shot to win that game. If I were a betting man, as you heard in the podcast last week, I think I would have picked Dolphin Death to win that one. Kurth completely unfazed by the occasion, made sure his team was ready to go. Dolphin Death looked like deer in headlights out there. Everybody, top to bottom, completely fell apart. Even Josh Allen. I mean, he got 20 points, but against Pittsburgh. That could have been a game for him that he put up 30 or 40 points, and he fell short. Gibbs only got 12 against that previously mentioned daunting Green Bay rush defense. Zay Flowers, -2 from him. He's somebody, every year he's been in the league, he's actually regressed in fantasy points per game average. I hate to say it, I think he's got great potential. I think he's got a lot of really good traits, but it just doesn't look like it's really panning out for him. That touchdown that was ruled OPI, that was tough. And then Parker Washington getting hurt in, I think, the first quarter. He caught a 26-yard pass and then dipped out for the rest of the game. And Parker Washington's been incredible the last few weeks. So, and then Michael Pittman, 2 points from him. Couldn't believe it. Just across the board for Dolphin Death. He just didn't show up.
Yeah, it was awesome that Josh Downs, the competing Colts wide receiver that we have in opposing flex spots, somehow got the better of Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
You were not expecting that, and was out targeted 4-6. Like Downs had 2 more targets than Pittman, which is just beautiful to see. Yeah, Elliott did not do well. Fig the Elder, as someone has very cleverly named him. Yeah, I was super excited to see that my running backs were getting a lot of action. Even Derrick Henry finally, like, he's had so many carries because I'll follow the games either on Red Zone or on my phone. Ravens in the red zone. They're at the 2-yard line. Derrick Henry stopped for no gain. Derrick Henry stopped for 1-yard loss. And it's been so frustrating that he can't get into the end zone. Finally does. And the game script wasn't favorable in Cincinnati and ended up not getting, the 15 to 20 carries that he usually does. But to score 20 points, excited to see that. Josh Jacobs getting close to 20 touches. Yeah, my wide receiver core continues to disappoint. Hoping that my brother, one of the best wide receivers of all time, Mike Evans, will come back strong this week and offer me some support there. But yeah, it was just beautiful to beat Elliott after the questionable trading that he's been doing, and even not just this season but past seasons, the allegations that were proven by the screenshots that were sent by Roy. Thanks for doing that as a service to everybody. But yeah, it was a huge win. The season's over if I don't win the game. Monumental. Ernest Jones, the best South Carolina player of the Muschamp era, leading the defense with 26 points. I said it on draft night. He might be a league winner. And who knows? He kept my season alive potentially. But yeah, stoked.
Were you happy with your team's performance this past week? I know they got the win, but 168 points. It kind of felt like they left a little bit out on the table.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Egbuka, just over 6 points. You don't like to see that. Kittle got a touchdown. No, he didn't get a touchdown this week. I I remember, yeah, he had high points pretty early on, and then for whatever reason, just game script, maybe they're up big and went
Yeah.
away from him. Um, but yeah, I need some. And Tyrone Tracy, my word, what a disappointment he's been all season. So I haven't been getting a lot of points from my wide receivers in flex spots. And so yeah, there's my team is still usually underperforming the projections, which is quite frustrating. But we're making ends meet, in this economy. We're making ends meet, and then I think we have a windfall coming up soon. But yeah, they underperformed, and I'm not happy about that. But luckily we were able to play down to the level of our competition this past week. So, and look, I've known Fig the Elder for quite a long time. My mom even knew him. She gave me some advice before the game. Gave me some like blackmail. Hey, like, you know what I mean? So, anyways, yeah. Um, we need to improve going into this week, and I think we will. Dropped a lot of IDPs. I don't know if you saw that waiver wire action, but I've done some actually pretty deep analysis, and I think I've picked up some pretty good IDPs for this week. A really good strategy that I used last week is get a defensive lineman that's facing Aaron Rodgers because he has zero mobility nowadays. And then I got Joey Bosa a sack and a fumble,
That was big.
return for a touchdown from a defensive back that I had just dropped the previous week, Christian Benford. I think I had him last week.
Wow.
Dropped him, and he scores a touchdown.
He had two interceptions and a touchdown. So
Yeah, so that was
Wow.
awesome.
yeah,
Awesome dropping him. But yeah, at the end of the day, that's behind us, James. I'm happy.
Also,
We can do better. It's over.
I want to highlight Ernest Jones. You mentioned a great member of the Gamecock family. 12 tackles, 2 interceptions, and a touchdown.
Yeah.
That might be one of the best stat lines I've seen from an IDP in this league's history.
Yeah. No, he's fantastic. And just if we can talk real football for a second, I love rangy middle linebackers that can drop into coverage and then also are hard nosed enough to play against the run. And Ernest Jones is an undersized guy. I don't know what he's listed at. He's probably listed at like 6'3", 235, but he's not that big. Like he was at South Carolina when I was there, and I saw him on campus. He's maybe 6'1" and probably like 220. I'm sure he's put on a little bit of size. He's probably 220 now, but he just knows football. He always played super intelligently when he was at South Carolina, and he's been on my team previously. Super excited to draft him again this year. So whenever I can get him on Cox on top, I think he feels at home with me too. So yeah, great stat line and even a better leader.
I love that. Want to shout out another game real quick before we move on. Big City Belief versus the Bad News Baby Mamas. One of the best rivalries in this great league. Noel, for whatever reason, and I don't know how he does it, he's got DJ's number. Every year, whether it's on draft night, whether it's during the season, DJ just can't stop him. And, Big City Belief was disrespected by Bad News Baby Mamas all season long. Big City Belief had the projections. They had the lead on Sunday. Everything was going their way. And yet, somehow, by, I think, Sunday night, pretty much, the game was over. I mean, DJ had Patty Mahomes put up 38 points on Thursday. Breece Hall put up 17. Good showing from him. And yet, somehow, the Bad News Baby Mamas were able to run riot. So I just want to highlight that one. Noel, great job. I hate that your game, unfortunately, didn't mean anything in the playoff race because that would have been a lot of fun if it did. But at least, if nothing else, you were able to keep DJ's losing streak alive, which I know brought you much, much joy this past weekend. And then does anyone care to mention Rogue Broncos versus Tank for Arch?
Let's see if there's anything worthwhile commenting on here. Any outlier has come up with something. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a former Cox on top member, my number 1 overall draft pick, trading him away. It's going to be a short-term injury, is my understanding, but it doesn't help when your best player goes out early in the first quarter after only 1 target. And something that I love about Amon-Ra, again, getting back into real football speak, undersized guy that loves to block, and he got injured blocking. So it sucks to see a guy go down like that. But yeah, that's probably my only comment that I'm going to have here.
Well, and you know what, though? I'll add so we have a little bit more on this game. But, Wes lost by 13 points. If Amon-Ra plays that game, Wes wins that matchup. I mean, no doubt in my mind that he wins that matchup.
Mhm.
Rory's team, frankly, is terrible,
Yeah.
just across the board. And I know he made a big move after week 13, before the trade deadline. He's now got Baker at QB. He lost Dak and he lost Jamar Chase. I'm trying to remember who else was included in that trade. I know he got Baker. I don't remember who else he got, but I feel like he lost the two guys in his team that were actually working for him. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what his team is able to do. It depending on how that trade goes for him. I feel like that could put him in the hot dog bowl contention right there. He acquired Christian Watson, Quinshawn Judkins, and Baker. It's not terrible. It's actually not bad.
It's good.
I do think Baker's going to improve over the next few weeks with some of the weapons he's got. You know, we already talked about Mike Evans coming back, and Chris Godwin. Is he playing yet? Is he back already?
I think he is.
Is he back already?
Or is he expected back this week?
He might be expected back this week if he hasn't.
I mean, if healthy, that's the best wide receiving core in football.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, I mean, Tez Johnson's been putting up points for DJ, and Tez is going to be, what is that, wide receiver 5 in that room? I mean, that's incredible. So I think Baker gets better, but I do feel like Dak was already in a great space. He was playing some great football, putting up really good points. Jamar Chase with Joe Burrow back is going to be elite.
Right.
And that's one for Ricky. I mean, what an acquisition that was for him. I think that's a big improvement to his team. Losing Quinshawn is painful, but he's got JT. He doesn't even need Quinshawn. He's going to get massive points from him, and Jamar's going to start putting up big points. And I think T. Higgins is out as well, so that's even more in Ricky's favor there. So that's something to watch as we get ready for the playoffs. I think that made Ricky's teams even stronger than it already was. Speaking of free agent acquisitions, trades, any moves that caught you guys' attention, either from the trade deadline or from waivers?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of already mentioned it, but you had a nice trade there with Luke. I think that to what Kurth said, Luke is a buffoon. I think that accurately describes it, in my opinion. But we'll see. I also have money on Mnangagwa now, so we'll see.
Yeah, James, can you talk to us about those negotiations? Did you change his Fantasy Pros algorithm to make it look very favorable for him? I think that's probably the only way you trade with Luke. So
I think the trade negotiation process was actually pretty shocking. I was sitting in my office, I believe on Monday morning. It was around 9 o'clock. The weather was bitter cold. I mean, bitterly cold. Oh, it was terrible. I had a hoodie on and a jacket over that, if that's any indicator. You know, I'm
probably
in a basement.
Liverpool jacket, if I were to guess.
No, not these days.
Okay.
It was unbranded. And I get a trade offer coming in from Luke, which is something I've gotten probably every other week this season. You know, I get a little notification come up, and it's usually pretty terrible, so I don't really think anything of it. But this time when I looked at it, I see that he had offered me Jalen Waddle for Mnangagwa straight up, and then canceled that trade, and then offered me Jalen Waddle plus Andy Borregales, the New England Patriots kicker, for Kyle Mnangagwa. Man, I pondered that. At one point, I'm embarrassed to say, at one point, one of my coworkers was trying to talk to me, and eventually she goes, "Oh, James, I'm so sorry. You want to call?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm not."
Something much more important, in fact.
Yeah. Well, she's like, "Well, you look very deep in thought." I was like, "Oh, I am. I absolutely am." What's going on? It's like, well, I got this trade offer, Jalen Waddle, Kyle Mnangagwa. I was like, I love Kyle Mnangagwa, and I really do. Like, he is one of my guys. Like, I drafted him in the 11th round. He's panned out. He is what I thought Bill Krosky would be. Okay, and so I love him. I really don't want to lose him, but at the end of the day, it's the right move to make. And funny enough, as soon as I accepted the trade, Luke sent me a screenshot of Fantasy Pros with my team improving like 8% in their league power rankings, and his team dropping 8%.
What?
So Luke made that trade knowing what Fantasy Pros thought about him.
He went against Fantasy Pros.
8% on Fantasy Pros is drastic.
It's drastic, but I will say I think they have Waddle ranked too high. they have him as the wide receiver 12 rest of the season. That's not going to happen. No shot. I think he's top 20, but I don't think he's a size 12.
I need to solicit Luke's side of the story then, because that's remarkable. I wonder what his thought. He hasn't said in the chat at all, has he? Or has he told you
I don't know
what his rationale was?
I think he wanted to improve at running back. He had Devin Neal and Saquon, and those guys just aren't reliable for a playoff run. He felt good about Monangai, and he told me, he's like, "This is a big risk for me, but it's something that I need to make if I want to go to the next level and challenge for the championship."
Yeah, and he's going to get 19 points in the 2 weeks against Green Bay, so that's great. He hadn't consulted my clairvoyance before he made that, unfortunately.
Yeah, there was no negotiations. It was the easiest trade that I've had this season.
Yeah.
Offer comes in, hit accept.
Right. Well, did he refer you to like some Northwestern Mutual life insurance policy that he still has?
He recommended that I give a call to the local Northwestern Mutual office and told him about some new options they have. It sounded like a really good price for only $25 a month. My family can be secured for generations. And
Amazing.
So why wouldn't I do that?
You have to. You have
to.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was the extent of that negotiation. It was seamless. It was clean. And I'm glad that Luke and I were able to do some business.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest trade was, and we previously discussed, but Ricky and Rory.
Well, I would argue there was a trade bigger.
Okay, let's hear it.
I think the biggest trade of last week was the Trey Tucker, Harold Fannin Jr. trade that occurred on Thanksgiving that got shut down on Thanksgiving night. A little bit of collusion there. Maybe some player loaning. I mean, John just lost Trey Tucker last week, and John's not here to defend himself in this podcast.
Yeah.
What better opportunity to talk about it? He trades away Trey Tucker last week, and then on Thanksgiving, when he thinks no one's watching, he gets Trey Tucker back. Unfortunate. I had a lot of respect for John and would have viewed him as someone with a high level of integrity. But I think that image has been shattered for me moving forward. Thank you to Brad. Great eye, Brad. Thank you to you for catching that.
And that makes it so much funny that Brad was about to make the same mistake and trade me Jameis Winston, So.
It's Can all you imagine for Brad's own gain.
If that had happened at the trade deadline, there's obviously no other move he can make. There's no revising it. It just would have been done. And ironically, he would have had a much higher shot at making the playoffs.
Oh, that's great. I mean, that's great.
I still think that trade is a little bit. I don't think the trade's iffy, but when he immediately posted in the chat, Kurth winning gives me the best chance with an auto bid. It's kind of tough to say those words after you make a trade and not see some sort of collusion. But
yeah, I mean, we
have enough about this year.
That's not collusion. That's completely different. Okay, I'm gonna put on my mom hat, my Wendy Halford hat.
Your Wendy, yeah.
If you look at this legalistically, collusion has some sort of legal definition that William can give, but this was not that. This is a self-interested trade that he made to increase his odds of making the playoffs, and it benefited me. So it's just like any other trade where you're making your odds of success higher, and it's not and it's a negative, like you're trying to make another person lose that you're not playing against, but it's the same thing. You're just increasing your odds of making the playoffs and winning. So I don't see it that way. I'm willing to hear your counter argument.
Yeah,
I did not argue that as well as my mom would have liked me to. I apologize, Mom.
Yeah, no. What I learned, I have nowhere near the legal authority as your mother. I have one business law class, and I paid attention probably 10 minutes in the whole class. So very, very minor grain of salt. But one thing I learned is that you cannot prove intent unless you write it in a message or an email or have you yourself on video saying your intent. So that's where I get to Brad going out and saying, I want this to happen so that another team wins. I understand what you're saying. I hear you that we're all trying to do what's in our best interest. And sometimes that is another team winning. So, it's not straight up just having someone lose for the sake of losing. But man, you could not put that in writing.
James,
you could say, I love Jackson Dart.
I mean, I tend to see this more on the side of Chris, and before I really get into it, I will say I also have nowhere near the legal prowess as a Wendy Halford,
Thank
but
you.
I would
Thank you for
consider
both
myself.
prefacing your comments like that.
I would consider myself at least on par with a William Corbin, for example,
Yeah.
who, by the way, was not at his office the other day when he said he was wearing a Clemson shirt. I drove right by his office. His car was nowhere to be found.
Well, he parks in the back, James.
Well, but there's no parking lot in the back, so
It's under
his
the
house is
building.
there. So
It's under the
really,
building.
I park on the roof.
I had to pick him up on the way to draft weekend. He had to smoke signals for me to find him. They actually don't want anyone seeing him that he even parks there or works there. So it's so far back underneath the structure that no one would even know that he works there. Which honestly, very smart move by that law firm.
Can we do a quick intervention for William Corbin right now? Just really quickly.
Yep.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. Can we all say, the three of us, that he needs to shave his face? Can we?
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Corbin,
James.
it's time. It's time.
Okay.
Shave.
All right. Thank you.
Shave your face, get a new office chair, propose to Mary. You got
and your life's in
27
order
days.
at that point.
And please lock your computer before you leave at the end of the workday. Do not leave legal documents and sensitive files open for janitorial crews and anyone else to break into the law firm to see. Please use the shortcut that I taught you, William. Windows key plus L locks that computer up.
Is this a story we need to hear?
James, it must have been when you went to visit him and you had that, double date? Okay, gotcha. That's fine.
Yeah, but I will say I did not think to check the roof when I drove by, so it's very possible his car may have been parked on the roof. I just couldn't see it. I did not think to look up there as I was zooming past on my way to Haywood Road for lunch. So I can't remember where we were going with that actually. Oh, legal prowess. Yes. So I do think it seemed like Brad's intent with that trade was to better an opponent. Was to better another team. That was the motivation behind it. He stated it. And then when we called him out on it, and this was in the League Leadership Council chat that we had this discussion, when he was called out on it, he immediately started squirming and talking about how he viewed Jackson Dart as a huge upgrade. And he was probably he planned to play Jackson Dart during the playoffs ahead of Trevor Lawrence, which is definitely not true. I mean, that would be stupid.
Jackson has a really easy schedule in the playoffs. Seriously.
Easier than Jaden Daniels?
I think so. I looked at Jackson. His strength of schedule the rest of the way is really, really easy. Chris, can you fact check?
So the only thought that I have with that is we saw Mariota put up 32 points against Denver, a daunting pass defense, while we saw Dart put up a measly 13 against New England.
Washington, Minnesota, and Las Vegas.
Yeah. Minnesota is not easy.
We have the Vikings, the Giants, the Eagles. So very similar.
Very similar. That's what I felt. I felt like they were very similar. And not that Brad could not have also thought that was an upgrade. All right, not that he couldn't have also thought that. However, his words when the trade was done were that he wanted you to beat Bob, and that was the motivation for making the trade. So I think had he not have said that, we would not even be having this discussion. But I think he outed himself by stating his intent was to better an opponent, not necessarily to better his own team. So, anyways, if Wendy, if you're listening to this, feel free to let us know what you think. You're obviously, like we've all agreed, you know the law inside and out, and much better than any of us. So we're happy to listen to your thoughts on this.
And if you would like to actually help us draft a constitution, it'd be very, very helpful considering our own lawyer was supposed to. Not. Yeah. He'll just make fun of it and say how inadequate it is.
Yeah, without offering any help to improve it. So that's been great. All right, let's jump ahead now to week 14. We're close to an hour now. We spent a lot of time looking back. Week 14, why we're really all here. All right, so one game that I want to point out right off the bat is the Bowl City Bots versus Dolphin Death. Huge implications for both teams and for teams outside. Bowl City Bots have lost 3 straight. Dolphin Death, I think, are a really strong team. Just had a really unfortunate collapse in week 13. I think they do come back from that. I don't think they stayed down with that low of points. I could see Brad really struggling. And when I'm looking at the rosters, I mean, Josh Allen's got Cincinnati with Joe Burrow now. They're going to be scoring a ton of points. That could turn into a shootout and lead to a lot of points for him. Trevor against Indianapolis, I think Josh Allen outscores him by a lot. Gibbs against Dallas and HN versus the Jets. I think those are going to be really high scoring points for them. Dolphin Death is also starting David Montgomery right now, which I think is a really interesting play to start both of the Detroit Lions running backs, but then again against Dallas. It may not be a bad play. And Brad is starting both of the Pittsburgh running backs against Baltimore. So I think that's a really big advantage for Dolphin Death versus Brad.
The Thursday night games, generally, I haven't seen like a longitudinal analysis or anything, but lower scoring, right? That's generally true, correct?
Generally true. This past week was certainly not true.
Right.
This past week was exceptional, but that might have had more to do with Thanksgiving and the NFL tradition that is.
They're also generally been the worser of the games of the slates. So these are both pretty high scoring teams. So be interesting to see how they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm grasping at straws. I just really, I'm trying to put stuff out there. Maybe it'll be a 2-0 game in favor of either team. Wouldn't matter to me.
2-0 would be excellent. I mean, that's a fitting Thursday night game, honestly. There's definitely some rough Thursday night games that I've sat through.
So here's something that's interesting about this Thursday night that I think could make it. Here's part of why I don't think it's going to be a low scoring game. This game is so important for both teams. I heard this morning on another podcast, shout out to the fantasy footballers. If the Detroit Lions lose to Dallas, they have just a 12% chance at making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Unfathomable, even a month ago, that they'd be in this situation. Both teams desperately need to win this one if they want to have a shot at the playoffs. So they're in the same boat that these two teams that we're talking about now, the Bull City Bots and Dolphin Death, are in. And so I think it's going to be a very high scoring game. And I think both Gibbs and Montgomery put up good points.
I think that's the most likely scenario, but I don't want it to happen.
You're right. Here's where I think, John, here's where I think you will probably like this is when I look at the wide receivers that are starting for Dolphin Death. We've got Zay Flowers. And we just saw what he did last week. I don't have a lot of faith in him. I think he does better than -2, obviously. But I don't know that I see him scoring above 12 at most. Trey Tucker versus Denver, that could be that could be less than 7 points right there from him. Michael Pittman at Jacksonville, I think 10 is probably a reasonable projection there. And then DK Metcalf, man, he's been hit or miss this year. It's hard to say with him. He's another one I don't necessarily see getting into double digits.
Yeah, I love my favorite anecdote maybe of all time from this league was when Dolphin Death was in trade negotiations with somebody as part of that 3-team trade, and he didn't know who DK was. A wide receiver, very notable wide receiver on his own team, just didn't know who he was. And for him to assemble the Avengers here and have such a strong team, and I've said this before, it boggles the mind. It really does. Just, really does. I mean, that's a point in favor of, dumb luck being more important than, skilled managerial talent. But there you go. Yeah, no, that's a nice silver lining, James. But strong team. Wow.
Yeah, I think my pick in this one is Dolphin Death for sure at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree.
All right, so that's 3 in favor of Dolphin Death. So congratulations to Brad on that big win.
Trying to do Brad a solid for once.
We had to give Brad a solid for once.
Yeah.
Chris, what about you? I'll throw it over to you. What's your matchup?
Yeah, I gotta go with John and Corbin just because the bet on the line, the rivalry, just the drama behind it. Even if there's nothing in this game, it would still matter. My pretty much my all-time favorite memories of the league have to do with John draft night making fun of Corbin.
Oh my goodness!
So who would have thought we'd be here? Corbin, running the table on the league, and John fighting for a playoff spot. So I think that was going to be, very interesting. Again, Corbin has only pride to play for. And I guess first spot like you mentioned. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that one. I think there'll be a lot of good action in the chat. Hopefully we have a good matchup as well. And there's definitely some, just looking at the teams. A lot of it's going to be decided Sunday at 1. Most players are then, but Corbin does have Jalen Hurts. They play on Monday. So we'll get to see some late action, and again, hopefully this week provides the drama and action that we all want.
So here's something interesting about Corbin. He's got 5 guys that are either on bye or 5 slots, that either are empty or have players on bye on his defense. He's leading Ricky right now by about 50 points. He's projected at 137. He's got no McCaffrey. McCaffrey's on bye. He's been a huge part of his team. John has called him smoke and mirrors all season long. And it's looking like to me that he is going to allow John to get away with that. I don't know. I cannot fathom why at this point in the season you're still stashing useless bench players. Caleb Johnson why is Caleb Johnson on your roster at this point in the season? Will Shipley, Ray Davis, guys that don't offer really any upside at all. They're not going to see the field. They're not playing. He's ahead of Ricky by 50 points. If he doesn't play 5 guys, I think Ricky's path to getting that number 1 overall spot and sealing the division away from a guy that should have won it weeks ago is very probable. And I think John wins this one in a blowout just because Corbin's not taking it seriously. And I don't understand the strategy here because he'll end up having to play John again. If he does this, he'll play John again in the next round of playoffs.
Yeah. And right now, projections, Ricky just about covers that 50 points. He's projected about 193 versus Corbin's 137. So it'll be something.
Yeah, the acquisition of Caleb Johnson for 5 fab. There's a lot of sunk cost there, so you can't drop Caleb Johnson after making a move like that.
No.
Well, I mean, I will say I dropped Dameon Pierce. I spent $16 on him because I had money to kill. And after 1 week where he didn't see the field, I dropped him. Just at this point in the season, what are we hoping for?
Yeah.
Like, if your roster's not set, you got bigger problems than needing to stash guys. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
There's no long term anymore. Like, this is it. Every week is a championship game from this point forward. So, yeah, my pick, and I'm going to go ahead and say this is my lock of the week, is John beating Corbin. There's no shot that Corbin wins this game as things stand.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, especially with the buys, it's just John would have to have a horrible week, which we all know is very possible. But yeah, I agree. Do not see that happening.
All right. Well, another one. Congrats, Corbin.
There you go.
John, what's a game that stands out to you? Week 14.
Yeah. I suppose we'll just get this one out of the way. Let's talk about Chris and DJ. So, Chris favored to win, not. DJ favored to win by about 16 points. Again, Chris, what are you going to do with the RB2 slot?
We'll see.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm benching my whole team.
Yeah.
I don't want an extra win. I don't want an extra day to eat 72 hot dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's just two bad teams. DJ definitely the stronger of the two as things stand right now, unless Chris makes a major waiver wire move that gets him a running back projected about 20 points. But yeah, I don't know. Not much to say about this, but wanted to be inclusive of your co-host James. That's all I really have to say about it. Chris, I tried to trade for Marvin Harrison so many times, and you treated him like he was wide receiver 1. And I'm glad that you did. I'm glad that you did because he has been a bum the entire year. So thank you for helping me avoid that
situation.
situation.
Hampton, who is not playing, we're not sure what he's going to do. Hasn't played in 4 weeks and more than that since week 4, I think. Yeah.
That's right. But I also tried to trade another key piece and Tyrone Tracy for him, and you also put the kibosh on that. So I was really offering some major pieces to you.
QB 20 or wide receiver 20. I mean, Tracy's done nothing. So yeah, sorry we couldn't get something to work.
That's okay. Don't worry about it.
We use different trade calculators, so maybe next time we'll just get the same link and figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, and John, given Chris's trading away Joe Burrow for Justin Jefferson, I think it's clear he doesn't value hurt players.
Yeah.
So I think the Hampton was probably just bad from the start there.
Yeah. Bad move. You need to understand your opponent. I'm learning that one of my classes right now. Organizational behavior is kind of a focus on it, and we can, anthropomorphize this and talk about Chris's own, culture inside his two temples. And
I would love that.
yeah, it would be something. But yeah, Chris is, I found one of the more difficult people to trade with. And not because you're obstinate or anything. I don't think we've ever traded. We've never been able to work out a deal, which is unfortunate because I actually love trading probably more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Corbin talks about loving trading. I actually love to trade. Anyways, so I'm a little spiteful that you wouldn't give me Marv.
I think probably the best trader in the league, I'd say, is Brad. I think he pulled off the most moves this year. Although Chris is probably up there. Chris had quite a few trades.
Well, let me say something about Brad really quickly. He'll renege on a deal that we verbally agreed to. We'll agree to something.
Really?
Yes.
That's not
I'll
good.
put him on blast because it pissed me off. It brought blood to my eyes. We agreed to a deal, and he's like, "Hey, dude, I'm having second." He said, "I'm having cold feet." I'm like, "What are you like? Did you just get proposed to?" And it's like you're, like, what do you mean you're getting cold feet? It's a fantasy football trade for Pete's sake. But he did that twice this year.
Wow.
So yeah, sorry, Chris, to cut you off, but I wanted to get that off my chest.
No. I was just gonna say, there's a couple teams, and it's not managers; it's truly teams where it's like we just do not have trade compatible teams. Part of it's like I have no running backs, so I need to trade for a running back. So there's some teams that we're like, hey, let's trade. I'm like, literally, I don't need a bench wide receiver. Like I got my receivers. So I think that was the case this year with me and you. I hope to get some trades done next year.
I have like maybe the best running back room in the league.
But you won't trade them for anything.
Come on, man.
I won't give you Marv. Sorry. I'm not
whatever.
I'm not Brad trying to just have someone else win.
John, can you tell us what trades Brad got cold feet over?
Yeah. I can try to pull it up. If you guys want to talk about something else
Yeah.
right now, maybe go to the
blast.
next game. I'll be able to pull it up as you're doing that.
Yeah, let's go on to the next game then. I think the next game, let's talk about the South Georgia Catfish versus Cox on top while you're doing that, John. An incredible matchup. The projected points right now are 170.33 to 170.03, with Bob having the ever so slight advantage there. Caleb Williams has Green Bay at Green Bay, not good. John has Jaden Daniels. If he plays, I don't think Jaden Daniels is participating in contact pieces of practice. Is that right, Chris?
Correct. He was a limited participant. They're saying he's kind of trending toward playing, but I have my doubts.
I don't see it.
I personally don't think he should play the rest of the season, but it sounds like they're going to put him out there. Yeah. Not a big fan of that, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, he has Mariota as well to back him up.
Right.
One thing is Bob has McMillan currently in the lineup, but is a bye week. Bob is astute.
Nobody tell him.
So he is going to fill that. Let me look at his bench.
Scary Terry.
Yeah, he's got Scary Terry.
Yeah. So Terry or Ertz, obviously Terry. Man, Bob's got a lot of commanders here. So Terry will go in there, probably giving him the edge on projections at least.
Well, once you add in Hampton and Evans to my two flex spots, even with the inclusion of McLaurin, it would still be pretty even on projected scores for what it's worth. But I just wanted, since we're telling Bob what to do, starting, what's his face? Who am I thinking of? The wide receiver, McLaurin, instead of
the guy who by. Yeah.
Well, let me also offer some advice.
Great advice we're giving to him.
Bench Caleb Williams in favor of a Sterling rookie quarterback that Luke was really high on, Cam Ward. That's what I think is a really sharp move. A lot of the bettors in Vegas, the high rollers, are doing that this week. So maybe consider that too.
I've heard the Titans' offense is really on the up this week. They've been trying some new things out in practice.
Yes.
And it's really working
Yes.
extremely well.
Yeah. I heard that on a podcast this morning as well. Must be listening to the same ones.
I think so. I think so. I think so. One other thing that I'll say about Bob is, Adonai Mitchell last week was going up against his former team, the Bull City Bots. And I think that was a great motivator for him to put up a great week. He doesn't have that same fire in his belly this week going up against Cox on top. So I think he's going to regress quite a bit from that 23 points. Chris Rodriguez going up against the Minnesota defense there. That's not going to be an easy matchup for him. I don't know, man. It's very close. I do think that I'm going to give John the edge at the end of the day of this one.
I think that's the right move, James. I really do. And I'm looking at this, hands off, no lenses on, whatever the sayings are. I actually do like my team better going to this week, even irrespective of if Jaden Daniels plays, because I do have the handcuff as previously mentioned. Yeah, I think my running backs are significantly better. Zonovan Knight, like Trey Benson is expected to return this week, I believe. So
actually, I don't think so. I think he had a little bit of a setback in practice. I think they're going to end up shutting him down for the year, is my understanding.
Yeah. Not good. Okay.
Another guy I was going to trade for Marv.
Who, Trey Benson or Zonovan?
Benson.
Oh, nice. Good job not pulling the trigger on that trade either. Yeah, I really have a whole. I mean, I have some bad buys this week. With George Kittle out and having to pick up Darnell Washington off the waiver wire. Watching a lot of the Steelers games, like Aaron looks his way a decent amount. I know his targets aren't out of the crazy, but his snap share has gone up a decent amount, at least last week. And so I'm hoping he gets some red zone targets against Baltimore. Baltimore has a good safety that can guard tight ends and Hamilton, but I'm hoping he gets at least one look in the red zone. And that's all you need from the tight end spot, at least in my case. Like, just give me something. But yeah, as previously mentioned, if Mike Evans is healthy, if Amarian Hampton is a go, and it looks like he's very likely to play, yeah, I do like my odds. Yeah, and as mentioned earlier, my IDP moves this waiver wire week have been really solid in my estimation. So thanks, James. I appreciate the vote of confidence, and I'll join you in doing the same for Cox on top. Chris, did you offer a projection
on that game? Yeah, I do think that based on just the statistical likelihood alone that you win, nothing to do with managerial skill. So just want to put that out there. But yeah,
right. Thank you.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you. I'll take a backhand compliment.
One area of concern I have with your team is actually QJ. I don't think, he's one of those guys where started out super hot, obviously, first 4 weeks, first month of the season, kind of like Roma Denze, really.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just he's been really disappointing as down the stretch.
Yeah.
Had 10 targets against Pittsburgh in week 10. But outside of that, 4, 6, 6, 3, 3. He had a touchdown last week that really saved him in that one, but he goes up against Philadelphia this week, and I think that could be someone that if Evans comes back, maybe you want to move Evans into that slot over him. I don't know, but he's someone that I don't see having a great week this week.
Yeah, I totally agree. I tried to flip him around like week 5, week 6, after he had like some pretty good performances. Just never got anything that I was really excited about. Wish I would have gone for something less now, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're 100% right to point out QJ. He's been a big disappointment recently. So I did pull up the messages if we want to go through those with Brad.
Yeah, please.
After we put a bow on my game, I'm going to win now. So he's interested in Stroud. I say I'll go Stroud, QJ, and Kirk for Debo and Downs. He says, LOL, nah. I say, don't value Stroud. He says, Kirk equals Coker, which is pretty true. I said, okay, but you were basically 50-50 on the trade without Kirk. And he says, I actually like McCarthy over Stroud and can get him for only one player. And then he says, QJ way better than Kirk. And so then he comes back and says Stroud and QJ for Debo and Downs, which I've already said. I've already included QJ in my previous trade offer. I'm like, he just completely missed QJ. He thought it was just Kirk and Stroud. I said, no, my offer was that and Kirk on top. And so he's like, okay. I was like, was that an offer? And he says, no, it wasn't. Like he offers it to me in the text message. Like these are the 4 players that I'm interested in. And again, just to reiterate, Stroud and QJ for Debo and Downs. I just add Kirk on top of it because I wanted him off my hands, and then he starts backtracking immediately. Okay, so and he says no, I'm not interested anymore after proposing the trade, and then we go to a little more recent scrolling. I had to scroll up for the first one. Okay, so any combination of up to 3 players depending on who you select: Winston, Mitchell, Downs, McCarthy for T-Law. I said, okay, I'll do Winston, Downs, Mitchell for T-Law. He says, deal. I say, you want to send it over now on a call? He's, I will in a few minutes. Then he responds a little bit later. LOL, getting cold feet. T-Law is not as good as I thought. Would you do a pick 2? So eventually we do get a trade, but he's this is kind of a pattern of behavior for Brad. Yeah, he has completed a lot of trades, but he is sometimes frustrating to trade with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Great
No
guy
doubt.
though. Great guy.
Great
Family man.
Great guy. Great father. Great husband. Great guy.
Yeah. Great teacher.
All right.
Great football coach.
Great teacher. Great football coach. Elite NCAA player, as I understand. All right, next matchup, Rogue Broncos versus Maverick. Maverick is somebody that, again, is in play, all right, for the top overall seed for the South Division. He's got a little bit more ground to make up on Corbin. I don't think he's going to do it. He's got to outscore Corbin by about 120 points. Hope that he's able to outscore Ricky or Ricky loses. And then Corbin obviously loses as well. So I don't think that's going to happen for him, but I think he right now is actually projected to lose to Rory by about 13 points, which is very surprising. But he's got Saquon, he's got Neal, Geno is the starting QB, Rashad Bateman, A.J. Brown, and he's got Kyle Monangai now in there. Kyle's going to put up, 9 points? I mean,
if that
against Green Bay. And he's got Cade Otton in his second flex. He's really down bad because of some of the buys he's got. Drake May, Stephon Diggs, obviously losing Waddle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think Luke ends up losing this one. I think he goes 9-5, makes the playoffs. I think Rory, that's great that he can win this week with Baker, Judkins, and Christian Watson. I don't know that Watson's going to put up great points, but I do think that Judkins and Harvey at running back are going to propel him to victory. And then Baker as well, going up against New Orleans. I think that's a lot of points from those 3 guys right there.
Yeah.
For Rory.
Yeah, 100% agree. Easy win for Rory. Almost an auto dub. Not quite an auto dub, but pretty close.
Chris, what are you thinking?
Yeah, like you said, it's going to be tough for Luke to do much. But doesn't really matter at this point. So I'll give it to Roy.
I love it. We have all agreed on every game so far. We've got 3 games left. I'm so hoping we disagree on one of the next 3. We probably will.
Yes.
But probably will not be this next one. Children of the Corn versus Tank for Arch. I'm not even going to click on the match. I'm just going to say Children of the Corn win this one by at least 30 points.
Yeah. Tough to that be the one we disagree on. I mean, he's stacked. Rookie's stacked right now. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if 30. I think if 30 was the line, I would still take Ricky. Against the spread. So
now, one thing of note here for Ricky, we talked about Trey Benson. Earlier, and Trey Benson. So he's in his 21-day window right now. And he actually did not practice. So this is as of 3 hours ago from RotoWire. Did not practice on Wednesday. I feel like if you're in your 21-day window, to prove that you are healthy, I feel like it's very unlikely that you would not practice in a game. So they have not come out and said that there's an injury or anything. It just seems like with him not practicing, there must have been some kind of a setback. Because this is his on-ramp to prove that he's healthy to start playing games. I just don't know that I see that happening right now for him. So that could be a potential Achilles heel for Ricky if Benson's not good to go.
Yeah, he's the only running back that I'm seeing on his roster. Otherwise is Samson, right?
And
Sampson
Abdullah
is also questionable. Oh, yes, Abdullah.
And Chuba.
Chuba's on bye, right?
Yep.
How about Samson? Yeah, that's who I said, right? Abdullah.
Yeah,
Okay, Abdullah is projected 1.64 points behind Jonathan Taylor. Hey, at
yeah,
least
he's
if
not
you're capping your downside risk if JT goes out injured, okay, maybe Amir
right.
steps up and gets some points. Um, yeah, that's too bad about Trey Benson. I mean, I actually enjoyed watching him in like the 2 games he was healthy for, and thought he was gonna
Yeah,
actually solidify himself as a decent NFL back, but you know,
absolutely. Well, and one thing that Ricky did as well is he added Dontavian Wicks, which I thought was an excellent waiver acquisition. He's a tremendous player, um, and had a great week last week. Got a lot of targets. I think it was 25% target share in last week's game for Green Bay, and he only spent $3 on him. I wanted him, but just didn't have the room this week with how many buys I have, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. So I think Ricky's he's a championship favorite for sure, and I think he wins this one easy.
hmm
Yep.
sure thing, he will.
Love it, love it. All right, 2 games left for us to disagree. Billy Buck versus the Bad News Baby Mamas.
Mm.
Great.
Projected,
First thing that jumps out to mind, Joe only projected 21.9 versus Jared's nearly 27. I know we don't put tons of stock in projected scores, but that's actually striking.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I
I
think
think
that
that's going
should
to be
be,
a lot closer, a
yeah, for
lot
sure.
closer than that. Javante, I think, is going to have a massive game. James Cook, massive game. Kyron is healthy. Sean McVay said that there were all systems were go on him, so Kyron's going to put up big points for Jose this week. I know it's an interesting dynamic though because they did come out and say that they wanted Kyron healthy for the playoffs. The Rams are already kind of thinking ahead a little
hmm
bit there, and it could be interesting to see maybe in a game like this against Arizona, who probably, I mean, Arizona plays some close games, but they shouldn't win this game. Um, although I know Carolina should not have won against the Rams either, but I could see them if things get too lopsided early. I could see them kind of pulling Kyron back a little bit and giving Blake Corum some more touches. So something to watch there um, for Jose's team. I think he needs a big game from Kyron to win this game. It's close. It's going to be close. I think these are two great teams that should be in playoff contention right now. It's a shame neither of them are. But I think I give the edge to Noel.
Drake London not supposed to start though, right? Or not,
No,
potentially not going to play. Okay,
no,
that's
correct,
big.
correct.
That's big. Okay.
That's
He
true.
does have
He's
Barrett Carter, Clemson great, worst rated linebacker in the league according to PFF. Um, yeah, I'm going to Rory. Or, excuse me. I'm going I'm going to Jose, excuse me.
no.
I'm going Jose.
I'm gonna flip to Jose because I didn't realize that Noel had Drake starting, and I'm looking at the bench. It's either him or Keon Coleman.
Right.
Mm.
No thanks, no thanks
Yeah.
on that one.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
Keon even plays.
If he even plays.
Yeah. All right, Chris. We're gonna stay
I'm
three
gonna go
three.
no. I'm gonna go
Okay.
no. Joe Burrow's my guy. Hope he does well for him.
Excellent. Excellent.
Knowing him, he probably will get 0 points. But
We
I
don't
really
want
hope.
complete unanimity the entire
No,
time we're
no.
No.
prognosticating here. Good.
All right. Now the final game is the Golden Reaper, projected
Mm.
179.41 versus Ice HR, projected 179.43.
Wow.
Big game. Is this game of the week? Did we set a game of the week?
We did not set a game of the week, but if we were to set a game of the week, I would definitely set it at South Georgia Catfish versus Cox on top.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
More
I
at
think that
stake
is the
Yeah.
most
there.
consequential for the
Yeah.
playoffs, right?
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
But
This is
this
going to
one
be.
also important.
Well, James,
Yeah.
how you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I feel very concerned about this game, and I voiced that last week. I've got a number of guys on bye that I would want to start. I think it was five of my starters will not be playing in this game, and I think that Ice is a lot better than what his team has been putting up. I think Lamar gets back on track this week against Pittsburgh. The solace that I have is his two running backs, Ashton Genty and Kareem Hunt. Genty plays Denver. Kareem Hunt plays Houston. I think those are really bad matchups for him. I think Devontae Adams could have a massive game against Arizona. I think the Rams are going to put up a lot of points in that one. Khalil Shakir, again, we talked about earlier. I think that'll be a shootout between Cincinnati and Buffalo. That's big points. And Njoku won't do much. Mason probably is going to put up a little bit more than normal going up against Washington. And then Romeo Dobbs. I just don't even know what to make of him week in, week out. But I don't
Yeah,
particularly see him putting up great points. All that being said, though, I think it's going to be a very close game, and I'm very concerned about losing.
James, I like your team. Your wide receiving core is so deep. Like, I mean, goodness gracious. And then if they do limit Kyron's touches in LA, like you'll be the beneficiary of that, right? So
Yep.
I like your team here. I think it's going to be actually a smooth win for you. I know that you're looking at all the potential pitfalls that you may encounter, but yeah, I think you're well placed. As previously discussed, Lamar just not looking good. Ashton Genty in that offensive line, like I don't know how he gets positive rushing yards on pretty much any play. And then against that defense, and then Kareem against Houston, as you said, I like you. Can like I think you win by 20 plus.
I love that. That would be such a breath of fresh air because I seriously, ever since Monday night ended, I have been on edge about this game. I've been very worried, especially just knowing that I have to win to guarantee a spot.
Yeah. I agree with Kurth. I mean, I think you said it. Like, I don't think Lamar is going to put up 27 points. It's his current projection, and I think Bo Nix can definitely put up more than 24. So I think that kind of spread alone should give you a comfortable victory. And yeah, seal the deal.
I'm worried. Part of my worry on my side is Swift going up against Green Bay, and we've already talked about that Green Bay defense a lot tonight. I don't see him putting up more than 7 points, frankly. Just the way that they use
Yeah,
him, I don't think he's going to vulture touchdowns. They're going to give that to Kyle,
yeah,
and they should. He's a much better goal line rusher than DeAndre Swift. And while Swift has improved a lot as a rusher, especially in open space, I don't feel like he's going to have a lot of open space against Green Bay. So I think they limit him. Blake, as you said, I think does have potential. CD, I think will have a monster game against Detroit. JSN, I think he gets back on track against Atlanta. Um, and I'm iffy on Waller, Waddle, and I think Pierce will do fine. I think he'll do fine for me. I think he'll probably have 4 catches. One will be a long bomb. Hopefully, one's a touchdown.
Well, James, going back to DeAndre, he's the guy who's catching the balls out of the backfield, right?
He
Monangai
is
isn't. He's a third down guy. Swift
correct.
is,
Yep.
and if the game goes like I think it will, Packers go up a score, maybe two scores. They have to toss the ball around a little bit more. So I think you could have a favorable game script as well. And I know I've said the term game script about 10 times so far on the podcast. I'm probably at my limit, but I think that'll work in your favor too.
I love it.
yeah.
I love
And
it.
And I think, I mean, it's funny. We've talked about the Bears Packers matchup a ton because there's a lot of pivotal things. I honestly think that game's going to be more of a shootout than we're expecting. I think the
Mm.
Bears. I mean, the Bears are looking hot. They're definitely going to want to bring that Ben Johnson energy to the Packers. So I think there'll be a lot of points to go around for everyone playing that game, especially quarterback play, like Jordan
Yeah,
Love.
I know. I
Yeah.
when I was looking at the forecast before I left Green Bay, or excuse me, before I left Wisconsin, a couple days after Thanksgiving, and I know Monday in Columbus the low is going to be 1 degree. Okay, and then it got up to like 15 degrees around game time in Green Bay, which is further north of Columbus. You have some lake effect stuff sometimes. It's going to be really cold. Um, Green Bay is
Mm,
just the Green Bay just has the Bears number and always have. So until proven otherwise, I don't think the Bears can hang with the Packers. So I understand that the Bears have looked good, even though they've had the easiest schedule in the NFL thus far. Understanding that they had a great game against Philadelphia last week, but I don't see this being a shootout because of the way that Green Bay plays. Hold the ball, good defense, and then also the Bears never proving that they can score points at Lambeau. So there you go, some
we'll
qualitative
see.
analysis for you.
I like it.
John, before we wrap up, we have previewed every game of Week 14 now. I want to know from you, who are your bottom 3 teams?
Bottom three teams. Okay. I'm gonna go 3-2-1. So one being the worst team in the league. Um, I'll go. It's tough between 3 and 2 for me. I'm gonna go three. DJ. Okay. Um, I'll go two. Um, actually, oh, give me a second. I guess I'll go Wes at two, and then bottom is going to be Chris. Sorry, Chris, but we knew that one was coming.
I was hoping for the 2 spot.
No,
Hey, you know what, Chris? At least you thought about it.
Chris?
What'd you say?
You think you're better than Wes? Or you think you're better than DJ? Who do you think you're better than?
I didn't say that. I was just hoping someone else would think that.
I
was hoping someone else had hope.
You wanted to feel a little love.
I wanted to feel like there's a chance.
Yeah, and I like you a lot, Chris. So it pains me to say that.
Man, really I appreciate that
because I can't stand West at all. So
that's fair. That's fair.
All right, John. On the flip side of that, we normally do top 3. We're going to mix it up a little bit though, since this is the last show before the playoffs.
Shoot.
I want you to rank tell us who makes the playoffs and rank them from 8 to 1.
Okay. So the number 1 is going to be. I should start at 8, huh? I'm going to put myself at 8. I'm going to sneak into the playoffs. Wait, divisional. Do I have to do this in order? So like 1, 2, 3, 4 are the 4 divisional winners, right?
They are for the playoff bracket, but as far as power rankings in your mind.
Okay, got it. Okay. So, with that in mind, I'm going to go Bob at 8. Okay. Cool. And then 7, I'm going to go Cox on top. I'm gonna put myself 7th, believe it or not. Even just because
I'm stunned.
I'm taking off the glasses. I know I'm gonna win the championship, but I don't want to put myself too high in the power rankings. Okay, so I'm 7. 6 is going to be, I believe, Mav. I think he made a horrible trade. He's going to be in the playoffs, obviously, but I'm stick him at 6. At 5, I'm going to go Plax. I think he's actually improved his team tremendously. And then I've got 4 is going to be you, James. You're at 4. Congratulations.
Thank you.
3, Brad. Okay. He's going to turn it around. And then 2 have, who did I miss?
You've got Corbin and Ricky left.
Oh, yeah. So 2 is Corbin and 1 is Ricky. Yeah. I just been forgotten about Corbin just momentarily. Now, feel free, ask questions. Yeah.
Now, didn't you say that Corbin was smoke and mirrors? If you have him at 2, it seems like he's the real deal.
So I'm thinking about this in terms, and I know, this isn't how you're supposed to do power rankings, but you do, although you wait the end of the season a little bit more and, the projected future outlook, you do have to take into account 10 wins in a season.
Sure. Yeah.
And if he rationalizes his managerial approach and starts playing some defensive players, which I know he will when it comes down to it, I think he still has a really formidable team. The best wide receiving core in the league by far. He has some weaknesses at running back, but the IDPs, you can easily go in and fill out your roster. Mm-hmm. You're not going to have the top defense in the league like Wes has, but you're still going to have a decent enough team. But yeah, I think Ricky's odds-on favorite to win it all, and so that's why I have him placed where he is. And yeah, I mean, like I said, 7th in the power rankings. I sneak in to Dolphin Death. He's the last one out or first one out, whatever they say for bracketology in March.
Yeah. No, I think that's a strong power rankings. Now that you've clarified that question around Corbin, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I agree. I think Ricky's the odds-on favorite to win. I'd be stunned if he didn't, really. So especially after that trade, I felt like that way before the trade that he pulled off with Rory. Now that trade's happened, I think he just further solidified that his standing.
Jamar, huge upside, man. Yeah,
huge upside.
Yeah.
Well, John, Chris, is there anything you guys want to share before we wrap up tonight?
We've only gone for an hour and 35. I hope we're not, shortchanging the audience here.
Yeah.
All 13 people that might watch this that aren't actively involved in the podcast.
Exactly. That probably saw the hour and 35 and put it on like 2 speed.
Well, you sound way smarter when you're on 2 speed, actually. So it'd be a blessing if you were.
Yeah, no kidding.
Let me just commend William Corbin's appearance on the podcast. If you haven't watched it, please go back and watch it. It's actually the funniest first 10 minutes of anything that I've ever watched. So I regret that I'm not as good of a guest as he was, but I try to dress accordingly to channel him a little bit. But it's been an absolute blast being on the podcast with you guys. Thank you so much for doing this. I really look forward to it on Thursdays. It's not out early enough for me to get on my commute to work like it is for William, because I'm actually a blue collar guy and get into work super early with my packed lunch. Yeah. But I do listen to it midday, and it's a blessing.
It's usually posted like midnight, so I know you go to work at like 10 p.m. the night before, but that's all right.
Somehow I don't see it. That's so weird. Maybe
really
you don't put it in the
does.
chat.
Subscribe, put post notifications on. Don't want to miss us. No, I do. I do want to reference something in Williams' podcast, and I wasn't on that one. I believe I did a press conference about this. But does he encourage James not to commit suicide? Is he giving a mental health at the very end?
What was it? I don't remember that.
It was a really long keep your head up, James. It's okay. There's people that can help. It was in the middle of James's
Losing streak,
yeah. Which maybe I need to go back and listen to that, honestly. But
what's funny about that is, well, two things. One, I don't remember that at all. I probably was so depressed at that point, I just wasn't even listening to whatever was going on. But two, I probably was only 0-2 at the time. That is just hilarious. But I love that. That's the mark of a good friend. And William, say what you want about him. He's a great friend.
Yep.
He's a great guy. He is a
great guy. Great guy.
The crown jewel of this league, without a doubt.
100%.
He really is.
Well, fellas, John, thank you so much for joining. I know you got to wake up probably about an hour ago to get ready for work.
He's already ready.
You're not late.
I'm about to hop in the car and drive into work. Yeah.
Hope you have a great day at the office. And everybody else, we will see you next week. Good luck in the playoffs.
What's that?
Do you guard the Smithsonian?
No, I don't.
Oh, well, there's a movie about that, but I didn't know if that was your overnight job.
No, I don't.